Man, I just saw a Charlie video about that Ned Fulmer guy. I didn't know what happened to him, but he was one of the Try guys. Yeah, like you've already probably seen the Moist Critical video, and he does, a characteristically very good breakdown of the lore behind all of that. But just in case you haven't seen that, just in case you haven't, let's just watch this together because I think it's damn it! Every goddamn time, I will get this one day, and I will advertise this later because it's very relevant. But now, just watch this for a second. What is it? That wasn't porn that I was clicking off, by the way. It was just an unnecessary tab that I... Hey, what's it? All right, anyway, let's watch this. Wait, now I've got to put on the goddamn sound. God, see, this is why I need an editor. Sorry, go on. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. You get the general vibe of it. How can somebody debase themselves like that, honestly? Did you know that I'm going to the United States? I'm going to San Francisco, Portland, Washington, Vancouver, Chicago, Ferndale, Toronto, Boston, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Washington, Atlanta, Orlando, Dallas, and Los Angeles. I will give myself this defense, though. I am not talking about the same... I think that this is a big trope that a lot of comedians go into. They just be like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll humiliate myself on stage. It's kind of just like, yeah, but you have to be likable. In fact, I think that this is something... No, we're going back into office filming. We're going back into office filming because I think... Bear with me, folks. Because I did just want to highlight exactly what Charlie said here because I think that this is... He did just sum up something that needs to be said about this. You ready? But he's talking about like the things that he's bringing up in his act. But far out, this is a brutal sentence. I don't remember Charlie being this slack ever before. It's like, what a cat, rare. I mean, he's not wrong. And if you don't want to end up like that, make sure that you come to my seminar. I'm just chucking in so many ads. But yeah, 21st on Sunday, 2 for the price of 1. Tickets are selling really fast, by the way. And Brisbane on the 24th, 2 seminars as well. Back to back, 2 for the price of 1. I have done them before. I don't think that I've done them in Brisbane before, but I can't promise that as a guarantee. What I can promise is that you will come out a better you. Now, I just want to talk about that. You know what Charlie was saying there about, I think that you're just a bad person. Like, I think you're just crap and awkward. And yes, he is a BuzzFeed guy. And those are the scum of society. And I'm not going to be defending Ned Fulmer here because that is the lowest of the low. That was always the lowest form of entertainment. They were always that type of person. Just a really scummy human being, essentially. Like, but not a terrible, terrible human being. Just one that kind of like coasts with the tides, which is exactly what that is. And so, as Charlie pointed out, when he does his stand-up, you can see that emanating off of him. It's not just what he's talking about. It's also his personality. It's also his demeanor. All of that is emanating off him. It is just a BuzzFeed man. And even when he's doing this, it's like, is this good content? So this is actually what I do like about stand-up. There was a couple of things that I wanted to talk about like just public speaking in general, because I think that this is going to help everybody, which is that not every public speaking thing that you're ever going to do is going to be great. Unless you get to that stage where there's a stadium of people, but that's just because they're feeding off of their own energy. It's kind of like those India therapy sessions where they get anybody to come out and they're just like, okay, everybody just go, ha, 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 ha. And there's like 80,000 Indians and then they just go into hysterics. That's what's happening when you go and see Jerry Seinfeld or Dave Chappelle or whatever. It's not that they're not great comedians. It's just every single one of those is going to be a kill and everyone's going to come out and be like, oh, that was the best time, because it's a stadium. It's the same effect as you going to watch a sports event. Unless you get into that mass hysteria Beatles mania level, especially when you're that, what's really painful about watching this is, I remember those days as well. It was awful. Open mic nights are always terrible and awkward. And most of the people that are there because they have been dragged, because there's somebody going like, I'm going to try my stand-up set. And so all of your friends kind of feel sorry for you when they go. It's one up from your parents going. Your parents are the worst audience that you will ever have. Tell me if I'm wrong about this. They're either going to be over supportive and be like, that was great because you're you. Or they're going to be like my dad and be like, that was shit because you're you. So you never really judge that. The next after that, I think that's really sad is just inviting your friends along. That's always painful. But then the other one that is even worse than that is a bunch of comics that are just waiting for their turn to get up. And so that's just not a fair environment to be testing your stand-up on. But I think that Charlie's point about him just being a friend, I think that that's honestly just something that happens. And like, this is something that I want you to write down. This is a big self-help point. Once you understand this, so much of your life kind of just slots in, which is that the self is always coming through. I want you to write that down. The self is always coming through. You can't hide it. As soon as you stop trying to hide it, which is a really difficult thing, yeah, especially in your 20s, because this guy is insecure and I think he's got to be approaching 40. He's got that Homer Simpson 5 o'clock shadow, but the self is always coming through. I think that a lot of the reason that people feel uncomfortable when they are on stage is because they don't want that scene. But it's just so obvious when you are the focal point of attention. When you are the focal point of attention, that gets highlighted. And if you aren't comfortable with that, you're going to do bad every time. Like joke work, I think that this is actually something like, okay, Dave Chappelle, for instance, he's not a great joke writer. Not that I can talk, like look at him and look at me. It's just so pathetic. I hate critiquing stand-up because, like, again, I think that it is a very shitty, lowbrow art form. And they always talk about it just being like, the art. And it's the lowest of the low. It's kind of jester stuff. It's clowning. It's absolutely sometimes it's just like cheap and derogatory and it's kind of fun to be around. And I think that's it, right? Like, even though it is lowbrow, so is burlesque dancing, so is going to a strip club or whatever. Not that I've ever been, but I can imagine that it would be great. Like a lot of low shit could be really fun. Like going to see a UFC match, it's low, but I'm sure when you're there, you're like, yeah, right? I kind of just put it in the same category as all of that. But I will note on that joke work can be, the same as music. You can just do AC/DC and do the same few chords and make an entire career out of it. You can just learn the basics. And then you can learn how to compose Mozart music. And I think the joke work is very similar to that. But I don't think that that's the main point. I think that the main point when you are on there is that it is a naturally uncomfortable environment. And if you are uncomfortable on stage, the audience is going to be uncomfortable on stage. And I haven't mastered that to this day. There are some points where you just go up on stage and you are uncomfortable. But I will tell you that the only way out is through. If you are uncomfortable on stage, this is the same as like approaching chicks. This is the same as being in a party. If you are uncomfortable, just let that feeling be there. Just let that feeling be there and get in tune with that feeling. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, if you are doing a public speech, instead of just trying to avoid the fact that you're like kind of nervous and timid and stuff, you can even draw attention to it and that immediately makes the tension release. But I think that that's the main thing that you have to do anytime that you're in a public speaking environment. There's a bunch of other things that you should be doing, which is engaging with the audience, which I think is a huge thing that they don't do. They invert into themselves. They are not present in the moment. They are inside their own head. And so the audience is kind of just watching somebody kind of robotically, nervously going through the whole event. Whereas, like, you'll notice the good comedians are able to just kind of like interact with the audience, and they're a busker essentially on stage. But that is one of the main points that I think is always the crushing point of most stand-up. Most stand-up is that he is trying to get points. He's trying to get pity points off of the fact that, he's like cheated on his wife or whatever. Like, obviously he's just new at this. And so like, he's just making that his whole shtick. I cheated on my wife. I cheated on my wife. But if you want to get laughs, you got to go more honest than that. If you're going to do self-deprecation, you don't just go for that level, like you go deeper. Why did you cheat on your wife? Why? I think that he's too scared to do it. Obviously. I mean, it's his first time or whatever. And also it's just like a very personal thing. But it's also kind of just, he is somebody that's trying to get attention off of that because he thinks that that's the only way that he can get his career. So I don't feel any sympathy for him for that. But I think that if you are ever going to do anything creative and artistic, that's the main thing that you should be aiming for, like an actual true layer of honesty. Now it's time for my North Korea rant. At the moment, I'm reading one of these literature. You're just gonna have to deal with this for months. Sorry. Sign up and listen to this. But at the moment, I'm reading one of their novels that has come out of North Korea called Friend. A lot of their novels are about divorce, and it's really, really tender. It's really tender and it's insightful. And why is that? It's because they are dealing with divorce not so much on a surface level. They're really going into the depth of what that human experience is and how there's still love between them, but the love changes. And the love is sort of now this weird, estranged feeling that comes with it. And actually, there's like huge points where you miss the person greatly. And then as soon as you're near around them again, you don't want to be around. Like, there's a lot of that in the book. And I think that, honestly, most people, when they go across like some sort of creative endeavor, especially if your life, like this guy, is to get superficial clicks for, I tried a taco, is it better than this taco? They aren't willing to go to that depth. And if he was willing to go to that depth, you know what would actually happen when he was up on stage? He'd actually be, conversely, this is the other thing, you would actually be a lot more comfortable. You would actually be a lot more comfortable because you're like, all right, well, I'm being honest. I guess I'm being honest. Here I am. I'm telling you now, this is the same thing with picking up chicks at the bar. This is the same thing of going on dates. This is the same thing of going to job interviews. If you understand, especially women are going to be extremely perceptive of this because there's just so many guys walking up to them and everyone's just a sales rep to them. But if you are able to have that knowledge at the forefront of your mind, that no matter what you are saying, everybody is checking, like, is this congruent or is this not congruent? Like, is what this person is saying, is he saying it because he thinks this is going to make him look good? And as soon as people pick up on that, what does it come off as? Like this: nervous, creepy, weird. It's really, really strange. Like, yeah, if you're a genuinely bad person and you come up on stage and you say you're a genuinely bad person, you'll honestly be accepted. Probably not in a dating environment. They're going to be like, okay, thank you very much. But again, you'll probably go a hell of a lot further than somebody that's just like, I'm a good person. Do you want a lollipop? That works on 12-year-olds, you know? It does not work on people that have been around the tracks like yourself. You would know exactly what I'm talking about with this. But that's the one thing that really sticks out. If that guy went deeper into it and just went up and had a rant about why he genuinely cheated on his wife, I'm sure his wife would hate it, but I bet you the audience would like it. Because one of the major things that people think when it comes to public speaking is they think that the audience needs to have a bunch of flashy tricks and gimmicks put in front of them. That's for the advanced class. But first off, you have to master just being comfortable being there, being with the audience, having an honest connection with them. So yeah, I think that that's something that you really need to, like, you must write this down. The older you get, the more this seeps in naturally. But I'm telling you, you can advance yourself a decade by just understanding that one point, that the self is always coming through. And the more that you think about that and the more that you go, because you will just do it regardless. You will just go into social interactions. You will do that, especially when you're younger. You're always trying to like emulate someone else. But if that is in your forefront of your mind and then you start observing yourself after you've gone out of the party, after you've gone out of a date and you realize, oh, I wasn't doing that, you start speeding up that process. Tell me if I'm wrong. People in their 30s, don't you think that that sort of just starts like, there's something that happens in your 30s where you're just like, I just don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care that much. I don't care. And immediately everything kind of just becomes more natural. Anyway, if you like that, make sure that you sign up to Jordan Shanks, where I give you 3 extra videos, and those extra videos are about self-help. And the reason that I think that you should sign up to that is, one, because it's basically the same as a life coach. And if you do sign up to a life coach and you sign up to a good one, I think that people always say this. I hear this constantly. I can track the exact moment when I signed up to a life coach. Like I see it as BC and AD. That is what it is in my life. And the reason for that is because having someone there saying that you need to focus on your goals, let's sit you down and make you focus on your goals. Here's something motivational so that you're actually amped up to do it. That is worth its pay in itself, regardless of the advice, which I've read over 300 books on it. So I can give you some pretty damn good pointers. So yeah, make sure that you sign up to that. Come to both Sebadars, Brisbane, and America. Come to my show.